Hello everyone, welcome to Seattle, welcome to Inside R&D with me, your host, Rich Hagan. Here in R&D, it's September, but out in the wide magic world, well, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Why? Because it's time for another brand new magic block. This time around, we're visiting a world full of the lore and the majesty of the dragons. But we're also visiting a world of no dragons at all. The world of Tarkir.
Sarkons of Tarkir started in a very unlikely of places, which was, I had always had this idea of doing a draft structure where you had a large set, a small set that drafted with the first large set, and then when the second large set come out, this middle set drafted now with that end set. And I thought it was a neat idea. That's where we started. That was all we had to go with. Like, let's make this make sense. So I started what was called an exploratory design team with myself and Sean Main and Ethan Fleischer, and they had just become 1 and 2 in the Great Designer Search. And I'm like, okay, guys, we have a year before we even start design. Let's make this make sense. Why? Why would the middle set draft the two end sets, but the two big sets not draft together? And we explored all sorts of things, but in the end, we came up with an awesome answer: time travel.
We knew we had to conjure a world that was in turmoil, that had a status quo that was very clear, so that when we saw it later, we could tell that something was very different.
So we went to the creative team, we go, give us a messed up world, a world where things have gone badly. And they came back, they go, okay, we got a world for you, Sarkons World, the World of Tarkir. And so originally they gave us 4 clans. And so we figured out, oh, maybe we could tie each clan to an attribute of the dragon. You know, maybe each clan admires something about the dragons, and that's how they, that's the angle by which they built. And then they came back to us and they said, wait, we have a 5th one. Can you fit in a 5th clan? I'm like, oh, okay, sure, I can fit in a 5th clan. And then once I knew we had 5 clans, like, the number 5 means something in Magic. There's a color wheel, there's 5 colors. Once you told me there's 5 factions, I'm like, okay, it's got to tie to the color wheel somehow. And then they go ding, 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 ding. I'm like, I know what people have been asking for that we've never done: a wedge set. And I'm like, this might be the perfect opportunity to finally give to the people what they've been asking for.
Tarkir is this world that long ago the clans battled against these immense dragons, and the dragons have all been wiped out. But here in the present day, they still worship the aspects of those different dragons. So each of the clans has picked up sort of one aspect of the dragon and taken its essence as the framework for their civilization.
When we're bringing together the World Guide, which is the document that informs artists and writers everything that has to do with this world, we're always looking to fill it with as much detail as we can, and in fact, it's usually more detail than we're ever able to use on cards. We're never really sad that if a piece of trivia or a piece of deep flavor goes unused, because it's actually still contributing to the sense of depth of this world. You get an oblique reference to this or that in it, and you, even if it's not well explained, because we only have one tiny spot or a piece of flavor text or just a hint of a piece of art to reference it, you still are getting the feel that this goes way deeper than this card game.
So let me explain what a wedge is. A wedge is 3 colors in which 2 of the colors are allies and the 3rd color is enemy of both those colors. So when we made wedges, we knew that that's the combination of what we needed to do, but we changed things up a little bit. Rather than put them at the center of each clan at the enemy color, we put it in one of the allied colors. So the center of each clan has 1 ally and 1 enemy. Why did we do this? You'll find out.
When we make gold cards, we can make stuff we normally couldn't do. You can have a card with a red effect, a white effect, and a blue effect all in the same card. Maybe you choose between them. This is something you can't do on just a white card, just a blue card, just a red card. So you get to mix and match and sometimes create entirely unique effects that you haven't put on any cards previously. And you say, this is exactly these colors.
One of the nice things about designing a set with a number of multicolored cards in it, with multicolored themes, is that you get to very directly hit and design specifically for 2-color and 3-color decks and themes. Like a 2-color card says, hey, these 2 colors are about this, do this. A 3-color card says, these 3 colors together, they do this, they have this mechanic. You can make these build-around cards that then very clearly say, hey, do this. We're giving you a very clear signpost, and it helps you build decks, helps players know what to do.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the official story of how the fetches got in. Okay, this is the official story. I'm going to play the 2 roles. First, I'll be playing Eric Lauer, head developer, and then I'll be playing myself. So Eric Lauer says, Mark, I know you're starting design today. We've talked this over. We think that we should put the fetch lands into your set. In. That's the story.
The hardest part of developing a 3-color set is the mana. It takes a lot of mana to be able to play a 3-color deck, and it's especially challenging and limited. So there are 10 refuges, there are 5 tri-lands, there are fetch lands. The mana stones don't just give you 3 colors of mana, but if you have too much mana, you can cycle them from play and draw another card. There's just lots of mana. But we went further this time. The only gold cards at common are morphs. So even if your mana is not working initially, you can still play and interact with your opponent. You're at a drawback, disadvantage for sure, but you're still getting to make choices and make plays.
Your opponent needs to have 5 mana before they can flip up that morph and sort of devastate you in a morph-on-morph combat, so you have more free reign to block early on. But yeah, again, beyond that, sort of many things can happen. The player's going to be rewarded, who knows like what many of the morphs are. Like, why didn't my opponent attack with that creature last turn? Oh, they must not have wanted to trade it, so it must be, one of the better morphs. And so now when they attack with it later, there's a good chance that they are going to do something bad if I block. Or there's a lot of guesswork into what's there. There's a lot of bluffing to what's there, which is something that I personally really enjoy.
So, a lot of people have said 6 mechanics. How did you end up with 6 mechanics? And here's how it happened. Morph actually existed long before we even knew what the world was, that there were clans, that Morph existed because we were trying to tell a certain story, a time travel story. Once we got in the world and realized there were clans and ended up having 5 clans, we really needed to have 1 mechanic per clan. And we experimented with what if there are 3 mechanics and the clans shared, but it wasn't clean, it wasn't clear. So we knew we needed 1 per clan, but we had Morph, and Morph was playing this really important role. So what we did is, because Morph kind of soaked up a lot of the complexity, we very carefully chose our clan mechanics to be something that was powerful, but simple.
So as the curtains open on Khans of Tarkir, what's happening is that Sarkon World is returning to his homeworld. The last time we saw Sarkon, he was on Zendikar, and he was there on a mission from Nicol Bolas. So Nicol Bolas sent him there to investigate a chamber called the Eye of Ugin on Zendikar. Ever since that time, Sarkon his mind has been unraveling. He's near madness, and he feels that he hears this voice, possibly of Ugin, in his mind. And the closer he comes back to his homeworld, the stronger this voice feels. So he's looking for the source of this voice in his mind.
The creation of Sarkon World is very interesting, which is we knew we wanted to do a Sarkon. We knew that Sarkon is obsessed with dragons. That's always been his shtick. And we're now back in a world, his home world, in which dragons are dead. So people love dragons. I have a set in which all the dragons are dead. I can't just have 1 dragon. All the dragons are dead. That's a pretty important selling point of this world. And so how could we have a dragon in a world with no dragons? And they're like, wait a minute. Sarkon World's here. He loves dragons. Maybe Sarkon World could be the dragon of the set.
Sarkon's not the only planeswalker who's coming to Tarkir to look for Ugin. The planeswalker Soren Markov is also here. Some people might know that Soren and Ugin were 2 of the planeswalkers who originally trapped the Eldrazi on Zendikar over 6,000 years ago.
So the thing that's kind of, to me, the amazing thing about the whole block is I feel like we started with this really neat time travel story, which I love time travel stories. So I'm really excited that we're finally telling a very meaty time travel story. But layered on top of it, it's like we started with this very rich sort of base, and then we kept layering awesome things on top of it. And I feel like we have this dessert that's just deep with goodies, and you guys have no idea what is coming, but it is a year full of awesome, awesome things.